democracy for Hong Kong. Freedom and democracy for Hong Kong. Freedom and democracy for China. Freedom and democracy for China.
Well, would you look at that? Patriotic protesters, Uyghur Muslims, protesting against Meng Wanzhou, against Huawei, in support of the two Canadian hostages, Michael Spavor and Michael Kovrig, and an interesting touch, waving an American flag. I saw a lot of Canadian flags there too, but of course the American flag is a symbol for freedom and for standing up to communism. You must admit that. We're joining us now via Skype on location is Sheila Gunn Reid, who went down there today. Sheila, thanks for making the journey.
Hey, it was good to get out of the house, and I'm so glad that I was here because today was, it could have went either way. Today would have been a sort of a dividing fork in the road for Canada's foreign policy. Would we abandon the Americans and rule of law for the Chinese, or would we do the right thing? And you know what? The rule of law prevailed today, at least for now.
Yeah, I was really spooked last night because I started seeing official Chinese Communist Party propaganda that Meng Wanzhou was going to go free. And I thought, how would they know? I thought they would have hacked the courthouse and got an early copy of the ruling, which surely would have been typed up a few days ago on a computer that was accessible to the internet. So I was despondent about that. And the fact that Meng Wanzhou did her victory lap photo op on the steps of the courthouse, that's a lot of chutzpah. But it turns out it was just them believing their own BS. I guess when you're in a culture of fear and flatter the leader, you start to believe your own PR.
Yeah, there's a bit of that going on today. The protesters here, when I interviewed them, they weren't exactly all that confident. And a lot of that is because they know how bad China can be and how oppressive China can be and how it infects everything that it touches. And so they weren't confident, but boy, after the verdict came down, just joyful and exuberant here on the court step.
Well, that's great. Now, I know you've been doing videos and interviews, and we're going to have those up on our YouTube page. I'm really looking forward to it. Tell me some of the things you asked people about or that they told you about. We just saw some of the Uyghurs. Those are Muslim Chinese people who are put in mass detainment camps. It's funny, Justin Trudeau never misses a Muslim event across Canada. He loves going to mosques. The one Muslim group he won't stand up for are Uyghur Muslims, who I have observed with my own eyes. I've been to the Muslim province of Xinjiang, China. Very liberal, very moderate, not radicalized, not terroristized, because they've been cut off from Saudi Arabia and Iran. It was actually my favorite province in all of China when I visited about a dozen years ago. Funny enough, they're the one Muslim group that Justin Trudeau won't lift a finger for. Isn't that strange?
You know, the people here today, there's a very large Uyghur contingent, but also just normal Chinese people who have lived under the oppression of the Chinese, who told me when I asked them, do you think the Canadian government and Justin Trudeau are doing enough to protect Canada from China? And it was overwhelmingly no, that Canada doesn't take the plague of the CCP seriously. And let me tell you, there was a lineup of embassy officials as well as Huawei officials. So either way you look at it, people who work for the CCP
so
in
Chinese
China.
Embassy. When you say embassy, you mean the Chinese embassy, the
definitely
Chinese
not
consulate.
the Canadians.
Yeah, so that wouldn't make sense because we wouldn't have an embassy here. So you had a bunch of officials. How could you tell they were Chinese communist officials? Just how they dressed, or did they have pins or buttons?
All dressed the same, leaning on a wall. I recognized one of the Huawei executives that's a Canadian. They're all leaning on a wall, and they were taking pictures, and I got some footage of it, of the officials taking pictures of the protesters. And I did ask one of the Uyghur protesters, I said, look, are you concerned about this? And she said, of course I am, because I still have family back at home, and I can't even talk to them to even know if they're okay. And if these people saw my face, because she was wearing a face mask, she said, if they saw my face, my family in China is in danger and I would never even know. And so that's what these people on the steps here were willing to do, to warn Canadians about the plague of Huawei and how the TCP is infecting, they said, Chinese politics, Canadian politics, and Canadian policies.
That's an excerpt from my daily show, The Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.